Hello everybody, it's Emily, and today I'd like to do a quick video to just talk about the books that I have upcoming on my list on Libby. So just Libby. I'm not going to talk about the things that are high priorities on script or what I might do in audio, because those are just a little bit more flexible, but these are the ones that I currently have either on hold from the library or currently have access to from the library that are on my immediate audiobook TBR, just to kind of give you a sense of what's going on. So the current audiobook that I'm listening to is the last book in the Ash Princess series. I'll be talking about this in a February wrap-up because I'm going to finish the audiobook before the end of February. This is by Laura Sebastian. This follows Theodosia, whose mother is the queen of her kingdom. They're taken over by a different group and her mother is murdered, and she's basically held captive in the palace that she grew up in, and she's held there so that whenever her people try to rebel against the group that kind of took over this land, they publicly will beat her or punish her in some way. And so this is about her trying to get out and help her people. Anyway, I'm loving these audiobooks. The narrator is fantastic, and I'm just having such a good time listening to them that I'll just wait to see if I want to get the rest of these books physically. But for now, I'm just having such a good time listening to the audiobook that just hasn't been necessary. So the other book that I currently have access to from the library is Graceling by Kristen Kishore. And the rest of these books are either available with no or very little wait. So this whole series will be something that is on my very upcoming audiobook TBR. So this follows Katza, who is I believe a princess in her land, or is the daughter of some political figure, and she has a grace or an ability to kill. So interesting one for her to have as a daughter of an important political person. And so yeah, I'm not too sure the details of the rest of what this book is about, but I just kind of want to go in and listen to the audiobook without much more information. So that will also be coming up. My next physical read after my current one is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And so I also have this one currently out on my library. So I kind of want to play with listening to the audiobook while physically reading it and see if that's a cool experience and see if I like the audiobooks. So I also have the second and third one on hold. So if I really like doing that, then I'll probably listen to these a little bit more, listen/read these a little bit more slowly as those become available from the library. But the first one at least is currently available and in my list, so we'll see how that goes. So this one follows several perspectives from what I can tell. It's about a world where the Earth is kind of a central character of sorts, and there are kind of apocalyptic events that happen, Earth-based apocalyptic events that happen relatively frequently. There are people who have magic to help control that, but they're very mistrusted or not treated well. So I think you follow several perspectives. One, I believe, is a girl coming into her own power. One is a mother whose son was killed and daughter was kidnapped, I believe. Anyway, I'm not too sure what to expect, but we'll see how this goes. And so another one that I had that should be available relatively soon, probably in early March is when I'll listen to this, is the last book in the Darker Shade of Magic series, and that's A Conjuring of Light is the one that I'll be listening to, and that's by V.E. Schwab. So this one follows Cal, who can go in between different Londons. There are 4 parallel Londons that have different levels of magic, relationships with magic, and he occasionally will just smuggle something in between 2 of these Londons, or different Londons, and one day he smuggles something that has more power than he thought and kind of sets off a bunch of political events. So this one was so much fun. I'll talk more about the second one, which I just finished on audio recently. I'll talk about the second one in my February wrap-up. So I also will be thinking of the Femme Fatale Readathon coming up. And so after listening to A Conjuring of Light, I think one of my priorities right after that will probably be Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. And this one I just listened to Streams the Dreamer. Absolutely love the audiobook, love that story as a whole. So I'll probably listen to the next one for the Femme Fatale readathon. And that one follows Laszlo Strange. He's a librarian obsessed with the lost city of Weep. And he knows that that's not the city's name, but the name of the city and details of it have just kind of been taken from people's memories. And so when an envoy comes from that city asking for help, he joins and, you know, goes back to the lost city of Weep to help them. And, you know, it goes from there. And I loved it. So I had a good experience with the audiobook. I love Steve West as narrator, and so I figured continuing on with the audiobook would be good. So this is a target for the Femme Fatale readathon. Another one that is a target for the Femme Fatale readathon is Girls of Storm and Shadow, which is the second book in this series by Natasha Nyan. This one follows Lei, who is a woman who was kidnapped from her home to be a consort to the Demon King. And it's about her experiences, her relationship with the other women, and her trying to escape. And I really enjoyed the first one. I've heard mixed things about the second one, but the second one is on audio in my library for I think very little, if any, wait. And so, yeah, I figured, and I enjoyed the audiobook of this one, so I figured audio would be a good route to go for the second one, just to see. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the last book in the Renegade series by Marissa Meyer. I've listened to the first two on audio and had a fun time listening to it. And so I have a bit of a wait for this one. I think it's still like 7-8 more weeks. So this one won't be for a minute, but this one is also on my radar coming up. On Libby. So this one follows Nova and Adrian, who are an anarchist and a renegade, people on two different sides of, you know, there are a bunch of people, it's a superhero story, there are a bunch of people with different powers, and the anarchists and the renegades see things very differently, and so it's about those two groups and the politics between them. I'm having fun with this story, so I want to see what happens in the third one, and you know, want to do that via audio since I've had fun listening to these that way. So yeah, that's it for this video. Those are just a taste of kind of my upcoming audiobook TBR. I'll try to remember to mention these in my TBRs and like not forget about the audiobooks that I have planned. And again, sometimes these just kind of depend on what's available on Scribd or when things become available from my library, if they're on hold, and what Audible credits. I've recently started using Audible, so what Audible credits I might decide to use. So my audiobook TBR can kind of mix and change a little bit, but I knew that these are at least in the high priority range for audiobooks, so I figured it'd be nice just to have a separate video just to give a taste of the audiobooks that I have coming up. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will be sure to leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. And be sure to subscribe as well for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.